Treadmills are definitely one of the things of all time. I don't use them, of course, as I am incorporeal. The best I can do is this. Moving on, I saw that treadmills were invented for prisoners and wanted to do some research on it. Then I wanted to make a video on it. So that's what this is. Welcome to Fascinating Firsts, the show where I talk about firsts that fascinate me. Treadmills as muscle-powered engines originated about 4,000 years ago. They were primarily used to lift buckets of water. The same technology was later used to create rotary grain mills. It was also used to pump water and power dough-kneading machines and bellows. Then, treadmills were used to harness the power of animals and humans to do work. By their name, you can assume that this work was mainly mill-based. This would consist of the human or animal treading the steps of something called a tread wheel in order to grind grain. Later on in their lifespan, treadmills were, as I previously stated, used as devices for punishment for people sentenced to hard labor in prisons. The words treadwheel and treadmill were used interchangeably for the mechanisms of power and punishment. A fun fact, treadmills were introduced before the development of powered machines. Treadmills being used as power sources originated in the ancient past, around the 1970s or before the medieval ages, who's to say? Anyways, there were three major types of design. The first had a vertical shaft with a horizontal bar jutting out of it that rotated around a vertical axle. These were driven by oxen or other animals walking in a circle and pushing the bar. Humans could also be used to power these. The second design was more akin to a hamster wheel. The creature inside would climb in place instead of walking in circles. The third design is similar to the second in that climbing was involved but using a sloped and moving platform instead. Now, like I said, they were also used as punishment. This was introduced in 1818 by William Cubitt, an English engineer. He had seen idle prisoners at Bury St. Edmunds jail, gaol, this word. He had seen them there and proposed using their muscle power to cure their idleness and in order to produce useful work. These treadmills usually rotated around a horizontal axis, which required the user to step upwards, like a never-ending staircase. The punished walked around the outside of the wheel and held a horizontal handrail for stability. Try saying that three times fast. Horizontal handrail, horizontal handrail, horizontal handrail. Okay, maybe it's not that hard. Later on, a prison act that was introduced in 1865 required that every male prisoner over 16 that was sentenced to hard labor had to have at least 3 months of his sentence in the labor of first class. The labor of first class usually consisting primarily of the treadmill. People did not mess around back then. These punishment treadmills, or as I like to call them, treadmills, remained in use until the second half of the 19th century. That's around 1850 to 1900. They were typically 6-meter long paddle wheels with 24 steps around a 1.82-meter cylinder. Several prisoners stood side by side, working 6 or more hours a day and effectively climbing anything between 1,500 to 4,000 meters. I can barely climb up 3 flights of stairs. While these treadmills were usually used for punishment, there was an infamous mill at Brixton Prison that was installed in 1821. It was used to grind grain in order to supplement an existing windmill that William Cubitt himself had previously installed nearby. This mill had gained notoriety for the cruelty with which it was used, which became a popular satirical metaphor for early 19th century prisons. Another fun fact, I guess, is that these machines could also power ventilators in mines and pump water. In the late 1960s, a mechanical engineer named William Staub, however you say this name, developed the first consumer treadmill for home use. He did this after reading Kenneth H. Cooper's 1968 book Aerobics, in which it noted that people who run for 8 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week, would be in better physical condition. It feels weird to think of a time that that was an observation and not just something that we know. Anyways, our boy Willie Stobe noticed that there were no affordable household treadmills and then, well, developed one. He called his first treadmill the Pacemaster 600. Sounds very futuristic. Once he finished the prototype, he sent it to the aforementioned Cooper, who actually found the machine's first customers, which included sellers of fitness equipment. Another fun fact to keep in your back pocket is that production had started in Clifton, New Jersey, before moving to Little Falls, New Jersey. So, there's that. And that's it for this episode of Fascinating Firsts. I personally didn't know about treadmills being used as punishment for prisoners. It's a kind of morbid origin for a relatively common appliance. Let me know if you knew this fact. While you're down there, I would love a like, a subscribe, and another comment telling me what you thought of this video. If you're new here, thank you for watching, and if you're returning, I appreciate you coming back. Enjoy the rest of your day. Au revoir.